Hello, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk and from unboxings.com. Here I have another white boxed product that we're going to unbox and show you today. This time we have the new HTC Smart. Now this HTC Smart was announced a couple of months ago back at MWC in Barcelona, along with the HTC Legend, the HTC Desire and the HTC HD Mini. This is the, well, I guess you'd call it the more, well, I hazard to say basic, but the more entry-level handset that actually released as, at Barcelona. We're going to just have a quick look at it now, and I'll just peel off that plastic there like so. As you can see, this is the sort of pinky purple version. I'm not sure what I actually call this colour. It's kind of fetching though, actually. I don't think it's too feminine. I think it looks kind of cool. It looks a little bit out of the ordinary. We have a 2.8 inch display, which is a TFT, quarter VGA, so 240 by 320 pixels. Not the largest. I don't know if you can actually make out the screen within that sort of panel at the front there. We have a loudspeaker just on the top there, for obviously when you're using it in calls. Button just underneath the display, which kind of stands on its own, as you can see there. Then we have the red and green kind of phone keys, and then a large, what looks to be like a back button. Now this actually runs a Brew operating system, which is obviously heavily customized by HTC, which we're going to take a look at in just a moment when we actually go and power up. But before I get too engrossed in looking at the handset, just want to take a look at what else is in the box, in case it's anything unusual. Bearing in mind this obviously isn't a full retail package, it is kind of pre-release, but we expect that the full retail will look much the same as this in terms of the packaging. Obviously it won't be white, it will be branded, but the design will be very similar. So we have a USB style charger with a 3-pin UK plug. So it means that we can actually just change this part without changing the whole thing if we want to use it in different regions. Then we have a USB, well, it's the extended or enhanced or extended mini USB style connector there, which is very common among the HTC devices, although not some of the more recent ones that have gone to micro. This is the sort of extended mini style, and obviously a standard USB on the other. You can use an ordinary mini USB cable should you lose or require to use a different one. Also in here we have a headset. Just take a look at. So you have the foam covers for the headphones, and then a clip for clipping onto clothing. And then we have the headphones themselves, 4-pole, 3.5mm jack, and an inline microphone with a push button. And then the headphones themselves, very common HTC sort of part there really. They're very similar to others that we've seen before, if not the same. So back to the handset itself. On the left hand side we have an up and down volume control rocker, again very common amongst the HTC devices to have that placed there. We have holes there where we can actually put a lanyard or a phone charm. Then the connector on the bottom, which as I say is an extended mini USB connector there, which is you can use a normal mini USB if you want to plug in. There's also a button on the side here on the right hand side, which I suspect is probably a camera button, although we'll confirm that shortly. And on the top we have 3.5mm headphone socket, or the headset socket, so we can use the wired headset or indeed our own headphones, which is pretty cool. On the back we have camera and a flash. Camera's a little bit basic, it's only 3 megapixels, but we do have the benefit of the flash there, so it's not too bad. Grill there is for the loudspeaker. As I say, I quite like the back design, and HTC have started putting these sort of silvery logos on the back, which I think is it's quite smart personally. If we just pick the back cover off, like so, and carefully remove that, trying not to damage it. Battery is already in place, as you can see. We'll just pop that out. This is where our SIM card goes, and obviously the battery on top, and the micro SD card goes in the space just here. Do have to remove the back cover to get to the micro SD card, but you don't have to remove the battery obviously. Let's just take a look to see if we can see the capacity of the battery. It's listed, and it is 1100 milliamp hours, so not bad. It's quite thin. The device itself in its entirety is quite lightweight, and we just put this back on, which goes on bottom first, like so. Clips all back into place. So it's quite lightweight. It's actually only 108 grams, which isn't bad at all. Size 104mm from top to bottom, 55mm wide, and just under 13mm thick, 12.8mm. It does feel quite light, and I quite like the styling. It's very, very much reminiscent of the older HTC Touch range of devices, quite similar in sort of styling and everything else, and sort of the overall design. So let me just power up while I do so. And as you can see, this is an O2 branded one, because O2 are, I think, going to get the exclusive on the HTC Smart, certainly for the time being here in the UK. 300 MHz processor. As I say, it is a Brew mobile platform. 256 meg of ROM and 256 meg of RAM. 2.8 inch touchscreen display, as I say already. It supports HSDPA and obviously therefore 3G, GPRS and Edge, which is pretty decent in actual fact. It is quad band for GSM and dual band for HSDPA. It does have Bluetooth 2 with EDR support, and the 3.5mm headphone connector, as we say. So let's just skip through that. I will agree. One thing that I have, which is obviously immediately apparent, is that it is a resistive touchscreen, which may perhaps put some people off, requiring slightly firmer press on screen, a little bit of pressure, and it helps to use your fingernails rather than sort of the soft part of your finger. But we'll just wait for that to finish loading up. Okay, now that's loaded up. As we can see, it has a fairly familiar looking interface, although it is branded there with O2. I'm presuming that we can probably remove that branding in actual fact if we want to. But it is, as it says on the back, the HTC Sense style user interface. As is apparent also on the main screen here, it does have an FM radio, which I haven't seen listed in the specification, so that's pretty useful that it's shown up there. So we have the clock style widget, if you like, on the display, which obviously flicks round as the time updates, and then this would state your location and the date. The buttons underneath, or on the screen here, can be customised. Obviously we have the FM radio, internet and camera. Push the button in the middle, it kind of brings up the menu, so we have scenes, customised, wallpaper and settings. Now push it again, that just turns that off. This button, I think, there you go, brings up kind of the main menu or main applications, if you like. So you have your settings, phone, messages, mail, people, internet, calendar, call history and friend stream. Friend stream featured quite heavily on the HTC Legend and the HTC Desire. I believe it was also on the HTC HD Mini as well. That's pretty cool. It brings together your Twitter and everything else in a, well, friend stream really. So that doesn't scroll up and down, it actually scrolls left to right. So if we go to the next page, we have photos, music, weather, camera, video camera, calculator, alarm, FM radio and file browser. And furthermore we have memory, that's a game, rings, Wacom, there's a Java sort of client, flashlight, I'm assuming that turns the backlight on. Let's have a look. There we go, actually just turns the LED on the back, which is kind of cool. Saves you actually downloading or installing any third-party applications to achieve that really, I suppose. And let's go back into the... And it goes back to where we started, that's pretty cool. You can format your SD card, and there is a SIM card manager there too. That's all. There are, what, 3 panels or 3 pages worth of stuff there. If I just go into the phone, it's telling me I don't have a SIM card, but that's what the dialer looks like. The touchscreen is actually really quite sensitive. It doesn't require an awful lot of pressure, and you can use your finger rather than a fingernail, although I just find it a little bit more accurate with a resistive touchscreen to use something hard like a fingernail or a pen or whatever. There's no stylus supplied though, so they are expecting you to kind of use your fingers rather than, well, obviously a stylus, as there isn't one supplied. If we pop back out of there and we bring up the menu again, messaging, this is talking really in terms of text messaging. Let's see if we can compose a new one. There we go, to new. Tap to type the text. And there we go, we have well, basically a T9 style interface there, so we can start typing. And we have XT9 or ABC mode. Well, in XT9 I should be able to type hello, just like that, and then it does come up with kind of your predictive stuff there at the top, so I can pick hello. It does appear to be the only type of input that I can see there just at the moment, although it does seem that we can actually switch into a landscape mode and back to portrait mode, so that's pretty cool. So in landscape mode we have a full QWERTY, so that's pretty decent. I suppose the reason for that is because we need a certain amount of room to have a QWERTY keyboard, so there we go. So we do have that option at least. We'll come back out of there, we'll just discard that for the time being and come back. Mail, we can set up Google Mail, AOL and other. In other, well, basically that's POP3 and SMTP. I don't think there is any sort of Exchange support other than being able to connect to an Exchange server by POP3 or IMAP. So we'll just come back out of there for now. Internet, which will just launch. One thing that I suppose many people may consider to be missing from this handset is really the lack of Wi-Fi. There is no Wi-Fi connectivity available, so you will have to use your mobile connection, your SIM card. So I'm unable to demonstrate at this time the sort of internet connectivity. I'll do that in another video, and I'll talk about that when I actually come to do the full review. But you do have a web browser on there. Calendar, again very similar to the calendar that we find on the other HTC devices of late. They have actually brought that sort of styling to the HTC Smart, which is again pretty decent. Call history, friend stream, again not really going to be able to demonstrate an awful lot here just at the moment because we don't have an internet connection, but I'll ensure that we do so when we actually come to do the full review. But we have the ability to log it into both Facebook and Twitter, and we get a friend stream. Our updates actually come through in one place, which is pretty good. We do also have other pages here on the sort of home screen, so we have 3 main icons there, but we can also add other ones here. So if I want to go into here and add a contact, for example, I can do so, and then friend stream is also listed. We'll see when that is set up and working. Messages, what it basically looks to be. Okay, there's another panel there. Music, that's cool. Some music that's also already part of the ROM, if you like. So that's some demos there. Some demo images and an album, so we can actually see those there. And no weather data. Well, that's hardly any surprise because we haven't got our internet connection working just at the moment. So 7 screens worth of stuff. Again, looking kind of similar to the Android devices that HTC produce. There is a great deal of similarity. This is, as I said earlier on in the video, I don't really like to say it's basic because it has a lot of features. It's kind of very smartphone-y without having the smartphone price tag, I guess. So it's interesting that's there. FM radio, I'm assuming, will require me to put in a headset. It does. Camera, let's take a quick look at the camera. And, well, for lack of anything else, let's just take a picture of the headphones there. I'm assuming I just push this button here. There we go. And, yeah, the image isn't awful. It's a little bit out of focus, but that might be because I'm just not holding still enough, or many other reasons really. So, well, again, when it comes to do the full review, we'll make sure we have plenty of sample images that we can actually show you when we come to do the full review. Just take a quick look, see if there's anything else in here that we really want to look at. Music and photos we've kind of already seen. Alarm clock, FM radio, file browser. Phone storage we can have a look at. So we have Bluetooth camera shots, downloads, music, photos. Well, this looks like a fairly well featured file browser. That's pretty cool. back up out of there, and once again we have a calculator. Well, everyone knows what a calculator looks like. A few games and a few other bits and pieces on there. Whack-'em, well, that's like a whack-a-mole I presume, so that's pretty cool. So that's a fairly quick look at the HTC Smart, in actual fact. We're going to do a full review for you over the next few days really, because we're on a pretty tight time schedule, and hopefully I'll have some more video for you. We'll go ahead and install a SIM card and also a memory card and play around with the internet connection, certainly play with the internet browser, the web browser, and also take a look at FriendStream and other bits and pieces, and I'll try setting up an email account and see what that looks like. One thing I also should just mention actually is this area here is for speed dials for contacts and friends, and if you want to add any more of these under here, you just slide up, which again is very similar to Android powered, and well, in fact the other HTC Sense sort of devices that HTC have, so that's pretty cool. So I can add the calendar, for example. There we go, and that just adds that in there. There are only, does appear only to be 9. I can't scroll up any further. So you've got space for 9. So you could remove these other ones if you wanted to. If you wanted to just use 9 of your own, if you don't want to use the radio or the camera, for example. So you can do that, so it's pretty cool. So say this is the HTC Smart. As far as we know, it's going to be an exclusive to O2 here in the UK. Whether or not it'll be available SIM-free, we're not entirely sure at the moment. So we have a full review for you over the next couple of days, and we'll be back soon with some more videos and reviews on tracingmat.co.uk.